So we've got a question from our buddy James Lee, and he says, I can lucid dream with reality checks about twice a week. That's great. But I experience sort of random physics. So sometimes he'll be able to jump really high, and other times he'll feel like he's stuck. He'll feel like he just can't move, or he's trapped on the floor of the dream. He can't really jump, fly, teleport, anything like that. He says rational thinking just stops him being able to do these things. He's thinking too much. Okay. He can't always control the dream. And he says, what perspective should I use? Do I just need to practice more, or is it something else? Well, that's a great question. So I'm going to start by saying, first of all, well done for having the reality checks. Reality checks are something that a lot of people find really difficult, especially remembering to do them. And that's just something that gets better with practice. You're just going to have to set a reminder, and at the start, it's going to be hard. You're going to forget to do them. You're going to go for days sometimes without even doing them at all. But that's just part of it. You just need to make sure you set reminders, set notes on your fridge, have a note on your phone, have a reminder everywhere you go in your house, and eventually you'll just remember to do them. You'll just be doing them more and more often, and it won't feel like you have to try and remember because you'll just be doing them naturally. So good that you're doing that already. The physics of the dream is something which it will always be strange. Okay, so you can get to a point where you expect certain things to happen. So you might say, expect it to rain, and it might rain one time, but then another time, the next night, the next week even, you'll expect something to happen, and it won't. And there's not really a lot you can do to predict that. Sometimes the dream just has a mind of its own. It just does what it wants. No matter how skilled you happen to be, sometimes it will just do its own thing, and that's fine. So I think there was some sort of quote about how a sailor doesn't control the sea, and in the same way, you can't really control the dream in the same way that you would control, say, a character in a video game. You can sort of more observe it, and you can guide things. You can sort of push things in a little bit of a direction, but you can't directly control absolutely everything at the same time. So sometimes it will be weird. The physics will be weird. That's point one. Point two, sometimes the physics are weird because you just haven't got the right mindset for them. So what I mean by that is, when you enter the lucid dream, especially if you're a beginner, you might not be as stable as like a more skilled lucid dreamer. You'll find that you know what you want to do, but the fundamental belief in your subconscious mind is that you can't do it. So the most common one is flying. Okay, lots of people will try and fly, and they'll find that they're sort of held back, they're pulled down, or they'll start flying and then start falling. You might have had the dream before where you're flying and then suddenly you're falling through the air, and then you hit the ground and wake up, whatever. It's mainly because your fundamental subconscious belief is that you can't fly. Humans shouldn't be able to fly, right? You don't see people flying around on their own without a plane. So generally speaking, in a dream, your subconscious relays that back to you and doesn't allow you to fly. So it's about working on the subconscious belief that you can fly in a dream, and sort of practicing it and maybe using some affirmations. So you could, for example, say again and again to yourself, I can fly, and say this before you go to sleep, and the chances are it will happen in a lucid dream. So don't be too worried about the control of the whole physics aspects of it. It's something that comes with time and practice. So just go with the flow, relax a little bit. It will happen when it happens, okay? In the meantime, what you can do is you can meditate. You can meditate every day, every morning or every evening, or both. And just literally start by counting from 1 to 10, counting your breath. So count 1 on the inhale, 2 on the exhale, 3 on the inhale, 4 on the exhale, all the way up to 10. And when you get to 10, go right back to 1 again, start again. Just do this for about 10 minutes. Do this twice a day. It's a very basic meditation technique. And you'll find that just doing that, you'll have not only more energy throughout the day, but you'll start to think clearer. Your thoughts will be more structured and organized. You won't find yourself struggling to pull out a memory or lose, you won't be losing your train of thought as much. And it's the same with the lucid dreaming. You'll find it's just a lot easier. So lastly, and this is probably the most important, is as you're doing all of this, make sure you write it all down. Write everything you do down in a diary, a journal. It can be a document on your laptop. It doesn't really matter. Write it down. Write down the date so you can easily search and look back on it later. Write down what happened, what you learned, and what you're going to do the next day. And just sort of see where it takes you. Don't be too stressed with the particular, the specifics of it. Because I feel like you're getting too stressed on, oh, I can't control this particular thing of this particular dream. It doesn't really matter. It's more about the bigger picture of the whole thing. Just build the fundamental skills and habits, and eventually it won't be an issue. So hopefully that's helped. If you have a question, please leave a comment and subscribe.